Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah, I had to write a speech for high school graduation. Do you have to write speeches, or do you feel pressure, or do you just ad-lib it? What do you do when you're supposed to talk in front of people?
I do bullet point because I don't like reading, because when I read, it gets really flat.
Feels red.
Yeah, right. It feels red. So I bullet point, but then if I'm being honest, if it's an important speech, I try to run through in my mind, or if I can get in the car, get away from people, I'll try to recite it to myself, even though it's not exactly the same every time. I'll try to think, get some practice saying it a couple times, but I have to have bullet points. Otherwise, I'll wander off script so bad, and then I'll miss a bunch of it. I'll talk about the point of it was buffalo, and I'll talk about squirrels the whole time or whatever. I have to really have those bullet points, but I hate writing everything out. How about you?
If I write it all the way out, I don't like to read it from the paper because nobody likes to be read to. But I will be as prepared as possible probably going into it.
Okay.
But graduation speech was kind of pressure because, everybody's going to critique it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how are you supposed to give advice to your fellow classmates whenever you're in the exact same situation that they are? What do you write that's inspirational when you lack any true life experience to bring to the table?
Yeah.
So my first thought was I will send out letters, because this is in the early 2000s, 2001 actually. And I'll just solicit advice from these famous people that I like, that I look up to. So it was Paul Harvey. Max Lucado was a Christian writer that at the time I read a lot of his books. I haven't read any in a few years, but
I know the name at least, yeah.
I think Bill Cosby may have been on the list, which it did not age well, right? Whoops. I don't even remember who all was on my list of if I could get lucky enough to get a response.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of getting response back from celebrities, a friend of mine has it's more than a celebrity crush. It's a committed lifelong devotion to... My mind just blanked out.
Mine does it all the time. That's why I tried to do that little... I was going to give you that perfect lead-in.
It was so good.
Yeah, there's going to be a pause and this perfect delivery. Oh, you're going to cheat and pull out your phone?
Absolutely. My mind just absolutely went blank. I wrote him a letter for her birthday.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Dick Van Dyke. I didn't even get to type in my search things, and it popped into my head. She loves Dick Van Dyke. Loves.
By the way, a man who is the opposite of his first name, totally not a dick.
Hopefully not.
I
think pretty positive. I mean, he
directly.
sings in quartets and he dances on stage, so it's hard to imagine that he's not a good guy. But she's loved him. Even when she was a child, she sent him an invitation to her birthday party. Like, she has always loved Dick Van Dyke. So for her birthday recently, I was like, absolute long shot. Number one, will the internet even give me an appropriate address? I was hoping to reach one of his PR representatives or somebody. And I found an address. I sent a pre-addressed birthday card for my friend, but I sent it to his address and said, Mr. Van Dyke, lifelong fan. You didn't come to her birthday party, but no hard feelings. If you'll just sign her card and drop it in the mail, I've already got postage on it.
Yeah.
If I owe you a fee for any of this, here's my address. Just let me know. Within the same week of receiving it, he dropped it back in the mail. It got to her way before her birthday.
Whoa.
She just called me and was like, what is this? What? I don't quite understand what this is. Because not only did he sign his name, but he sketched himself in it. Yes. He autographed it, told her happy birthday, and drew a little caricature of himself in it. Fantastic guy. So all I'm saying is every now and then, just take the chance and write your celebrities. But at this 2001 venture, who my list of celebrities to reach out to is a little different from who I probably reach out to now. But I sent out several letters. The only one that came back, or the only one that I remember getting back, was from Max Lucado's office staff. And she's like, he's pretty busy, but he told me to send you this email and to let you know that if he could give any advice to a graduating class, he would say that God can use mistakes and the people who make them.
Ooh,
and I thought,
that's heartwarming.
Yeah, I was like, that's nice. Like, that's a good bumper sticker slogan or whatever, but a little odd for a graduating class of seniors who have never messed up. I wonder why.
Come on, you underestimate those of us who. Right,
true.
Please.
Like, something to keep in your back pockets. Don't get discouraged, I guess. But I worked it in. But since nobody else responded, I just had to kind of go a different direction with a speech idea. And as it was, nobody could hear what I was saying anyway. So
nice. I'm
glad that I didn't sweat it. I'll remember writing it out like the night before graduation, what to say, because I just couldn't decide. But fast forward a few years. So fun fact about me is I got pregnant right out of high school, got married, went through college with kids, all these like unplanned pregnancy. Life took an alternate course.
You were an overachiever. Let's
just jumping the gun a little bit.
The gun.
It worked out in the long run, but advice to the listening audience is that's probably not the easiest way to get a start in life. There's an easier way to do it. But in that time, like, I'm young, I have this kid, so I'm a little different from my peers. My college experience is a little more difficult because of the choices that I made, and all these things kind of stacked up against you. So you're walking through it with the uncertainty that everyone in that age demographic has.
Yes.
Multiplied a few times over by the complications that you put on yourself. And obviously kind of having some questions in the back of your mind and maybe some uncertainties about your own self. But Tim had built a house, and I was moving something around upstairs a couple years into this family venture that we still have going. And I was unpacking or repacking things into a trunk, and I came across some high school stuff. And the email, I had printed it out. The email from Max Lucado was still in there.
Oh, wow.
And so I found it again. And the thing that seems so strange to a graduating senior, starting with that blank slate, that tabula rasa, rereading it through the eyes of somebody who had this unplanned, unwed pregnancy so early on. And then you read where somebody says, I think that the thing that you should remember is that God can use mistakes and the people who make them. And I was like, well, that wasn't such an odd thing to say to a graduating senior after all.
Yeah.
Like, it landed just right. It was just like 2 or 3 years early.
I love that. I love that. Like, it was like the message to your younger self was actually meant for your older self, and your older self had to find the message to your younger self to come forward in time to actually land. Yeah, I love that.
Just enough time had passed. Like, I had no memory of that. Like, it was a thing that I just had kind of buried in a stack of stuff. So it was like seeing it for the first time when I needed it.
Like, really great life advice like that when you're young And if you're in like the more charismatic-y Christian circles, like you can sometimes, like when you're younger, get a prophetic word. Either camp, like the life advice or the prophetic word, sometimes just doesn't make any sense when you get it and you're younger. And then if you hang on to it long enough, all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's what that meant. I think that's, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes total sense to me.
Stored in a box that you're likely to come back to.
Right. There you go. Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.